Alright, what's going on, my dear friends? Welcome to my channel. My name is AK Rex, and I am the king and founder of the House Rex and the newly recruited Knight of the Fandom Menace, and I wanted to do my own just general views on Mandalorian, specifically Season 2, but just to share my thoughts on it now that 2 seasons have been done, and there may be a good way to perhaps explore more about just what this show is all about for me and how it felt. Now that the main hype is gone, I can perhaps just let people come back, so to say, to reality from the hype that we've seen in the latest season finale. And of course, this is going to be full of spoilers. If you're not caught up, please make sure you watch all the series first so you don't have it ruined in case you're invested into it, and then come back to this video. And I presume that you have already watched it now and are fully caught up, so if you proceed with the video now, then it's entirely on you if you find spoilers that you did not want to be spoiled about. Okay, now, I wanted to just give a few notes. Overall, I was very happy with how the whole show was done. Generally speaking, I like the idea of how they are presenting it. It's very nice, in my opinion, that they're just showing off the world quite a lot. So I like that part. That feels a bit more like Star Wars for me personally. Now, a bit of a disclaimer here as well, that I am not as hardcore of a Star Wars fan as many other members of the Fandom Menace, in terms of I do like it, but I'm a casual. I don't know everything about every world. I don't know the location of every planet and the structure of the galaxy. I don't know all this information to that sort of depth. And I'm just more about the Force users, the Jedi. I do like the Old Republic era, especially. It's my favorite time period, and I don't care if Disney made it non-canon or whatever. It's irrelevant to me. I just like the Old Republic, my favorite time overall, and the what's it called, the Eternal Throne saga as well. But yes, back to Mandalorian anyway. So I have a few things of note that, of course, Baby Yoda, or as we know him now as Grogu, steals the entire show. So he's pretty much the the character that more or less is responsible for basically just doing these cool occasional cute funny things that probably makes everybody go crazy in a good way, which is nice. I like the idea that they also introduced a member of species of the same as Yoda, which is funny that they never actually declare what exact species he is. So as far as I remember, there's not been a proper classification of the species within what is shown on screen, at least. And this shot right here, so since we're already talking about the Baby Yoda, let's talk a little bit more about his behavior. And it's quite interesting, if you remember when the frog lady comes around in the season 2 and he was trying to eat her eggs. My God, was he being a naughty little boy. So yeah, that was, I mean, it was both funny to me, but at the same time I felt really bad for the frog lady because they're basically her babies. And this shot right here that we see is one of the babies, but I'm not sure, does that mean that only one of them actually survived and there were no other survivors of the clutch, or does that mean that we just only see one? So I would like to see if people can clarify. Does that mean that if we only see one on screen, does that basically mean that only one of them managed to actually successfully survive? And yeah, it's nice to see that Baby Yoda is not actually trying to eat it. He's actually petting it, and in fact, he probably didn't feel like leaving it either, when Mando came back for him. So that was very nice. And about Baby Yoda's, Grogu's Force abilities. Now, this is very interesting that they reveal to us that he's been around and has actually been trained a little bit as well since the prequel era, which is quite interesting because it's just one of those things when they kind of what they do is that, oh yeah, there were a lot, mostly the Jedi were wiped out, but there's still few there and then, and they just kind of get inserted in the gaps somewhere because it's convenient, I guess. But that's okay. I guess it didn't actually. Some people had a problem with it. To my knowledge, some people who I know had a problem with that particular way of writing him in, but I personally didn't. By the way, this was not something that was getting on my kind of radar in terms of the peeves. My peeve was mainly to do with Ahsoka's character, and I'll explain in a second what I mean by that. So, what I meant specifically, well, first and foremost, I really like Rosario Dawson's portrayal of Ahsoka. I really enjoyed it. I think she's very suited for the role. Her features are very resemblant, and I like that. She does actually resemble her animated version of the character, in my opinion, very well. And I'm talking about obviously the character that we have to take into account that she's already older. She's not the kid or teenager-ish, young adult, whatever. Back in Clone Wars, we're talking about a more mature version of her in the Rebels, which we see as well. And I think this is where they were probably trying to match it up a little bit, which I think they succeeded, in my opinion. I really liked it, and I like that they're using still the same lightsabers, the ones that we see right here in a moment. So let me just quickly grab that screenshot for you. So right here, come on, window, there you are. Right, so this one right here. And there are a few things, as I said, that I have a few peeves about how she was portrayed. Not about how she was portrayed, but more so about certain things that create plot holes. She's been referred to and addressed as a Jedi, but she left the Jedi Order in Clone Wars, and also in the Rebels, in her confrontations with Darth Vader, she actually outright says that she is not a Jedi. But in this show, although she never refers to herself as a Jedi, but when other people, specifically even Mando or other characters where she was involved in the story, like that magistrate or whatever that lady was who had the spear, who she fought as well, and they all refer to her as a Jedi, but she never actually denies that anything. She doesn't actually try to refute it, saying, I'm actually not a Jedi, which I found to be a little bit weird. I don't know. It would have really been helpful to sort of further highlight that she's not part of the Order, and that could have also been part of the reason why she might have refused to train baby Grogu, because she's not really part of the Order. She's more on a gray area, which is something that I have a bit of a beef with Disney about. Why are they so scared of introducing gray Jedi into it, which is just an awesome concept. If I could be part of Star Wars universe, I would actually want to be a gray Jedi, by the way. So yeah, this is one of the things that kind of really pissed me off, to be honest, why they are so afraid of kind of getting into that. So yeah, that's that part particularly on. I would definitely say it's my criticism, and I just think that this could have really fit nicely with how they would explain why she refused to train him, because there would be more risk to get into the dark side and all that stuff, and it just would have made it a lot more convincing than what we got in terms of what we actually have, which I just didn't even understand what was her gripe with it. That she just doesn't feel that she's capable, or she just simply kind of brushed it off that, oh yeah, like it's too dangerous, or something like, something that I just didn't find very convincing, to be honest. And that was my biggest peeve in her arc in this, in this story. Or just didn't find that reason to be very good reason at all, to be honest. That was just really lazy, That's what my problem is. It's the lazy part of that writing that I didn't like, that why she just decided, we've gone through all this craziness, through all this malarkey, and then all of a sudden she just goes like, nah, I can't trade him, sorry. Like, why? That's too dangerous. Could go into dark side. Why? Well, I don't know. Just reasons, basically. But that's how it came off to me. Maybe she said something that I didn't pick up, or maybe it was done in such a subtle way that I didn't pick up. I don't know. Correct me in the comments. Feel free. Don't rage, obviously. Just let me know if I missed something, and I'll go back and watch it again. Maybe there's something I can correct, and I will just reply in the comments and let you know if I found it or not, and etc. But based on what I have observed anyway, on what I picked up, that was not something that was the case. There was no actual good explanation to me why she believed herself to be unable to train Grogu. And also you have to bear in mind that some people may be watching Mandalorian, although it's directed, to people who are already familiar and caught up with all the other Star Wars products. So by now it's expected of you to believe that perhaps that it's expected for you to be already familiar with Ahsoka's character, both from Clone Wars and maybe even Rebels as well. And this, excuse me, and this is why. Yeah, sorry, I had a bit of an accident, so I had to turn the microphone off. But anyway, this is why I think, we would expect that people would be watching this show with the expectation that, you're already familiar. But for those who are not familiar, these things are very helpful. And I think this makes a better writing overall as well, so that the show can also stand on its own 2 feet and not just be some kind of like appendage, to whatever they have made this far. And of course, we never, get any kind of understanding, or maybe we will get it when Ahsoka gets her spin-off, because it's been announced. If it doesn't get scrapped, then maybe we might even see some scenes of her interacting with Luke. I would hope, at least, because it always kind of bothered me that how she was written in to this whole timeline overall beyond the Clone Wars, and somehow her and Luke just never really interacted, or never, think of what they could have done together if they were to team up, and that's because the original trilogy did not account for that, obviously, because it was just never planned to be that way, and I can understand that. And that's just part of where, obviously, it's sort of maybe unwittingly, kind of happened on Lucas's part of writing, because he probably himself never really expected for this to grow into this sort of magnitude, initially. So I can understand that. It's still a bit of a criticism, but I'm just saying it with obviously bearing in mind that I can understand why it's not really his fault. It's just my sort of criticism overall in terms of how it fits within the narrative, so that I can make that clear. I'm not trying to throw stones at Lucas here, but this is more just overall how it comes off when all is said and done, right? So then, of course, the whole idea of how, just, I don't know, man, Dave Filoni, in my opinion, was a little bit too scared to kill this character off. And that's what I don't like as well. Sometimes I feel like, see, we have Rian Johnson, who is not just brave, but he's like stupid. Literally, this guy is the stupidest person in the world, and he completely ruined, Luke Skywalker's character, ruined the franchise, and with this Last Jedi crap. Because Force Awakens, I didn't like it very much, but I was expecting that it might set up something that might follow, which would be good. That's what I was expecting and hoping for. And when I went to see The Last Jedi, I let's just say I never returned for the Solo, I never returned for Rogue One, and I never returned for whatever else, Rise of Skywalker. I think Rogue One came out after The Last Jedi, right? Or not? But I didn't watch it in the movies anyway, just what I'm saying. So, yeah, that's basically when I started seeing all of these things happening. And, so you get this kind of extreme where he's, comes off as brave to subvert expectations, but he doesn't understand, obviously, what he's doing within this franchise, and he just completely ruined it. And what's more, he's also going around and talking trash about fans and all that stuff. So, yeah, that's a big no-no there. So piss off Ryan Roundhead, dumbass. But anyway, enough of that. Back to Mandalorian. So yes, in my opinion, Dave Filoni just was on a bit of an opposite. It seems to me that he was a bit too not brave enough, to actually kill her off. And in my opinion, she should have died when she was fighting Darth Vader. That's my personal opinion. She should have basically had a very nice exit, very like a badass, obviously, doing something crazy, amazing, helping someone out, like just really, doing a selfless act of some sort, saving people. But she should have faced her doom, demise, in the face of Darth Vader. Because that would at least fit more nicely with what we have in the original trilogy. So that would also explain why we never see her after that either. And of course, there are ways to explain it otherwise. You could say that she was on a kind of pilgrimage, whatever, and she was just too distant from everything that was happening at that time during the original trilogy, and she returned only later. Also, we know that Grand Admiral Tron is still alive, according to this, so that means that he was never killed, during the events of Return of the Jedi in any other kind of parallel series of events, so he was still around. And so it seems that she's going to be, at this point, pursuing him. At least that's what we're probably going to be seeing in the show, if the show actually happens. But yeah, those things, for me, were a bit of a gripe. It's just how it all kind of pans in together, and there are obviously other things that I wanted to look at. So let's quickly bring in the next set of characters. So, wanted to quickly touch on some of the other cool things. So, of course, I liked Gina Carano's Cara Dune. Really enjoyed her character. It seems that she has grown on me a little bit, just because, this is one of the things that I really liked, and I think I was actually a bit surprised by that as well, that they really did well in terms of their idea of, portraying, as they like to say, strong female characters, right? That they actually hired actors, who are trained in real life to be, some kind of combatants or martial artists, because Gina Carano is a professionally trained martial artist. And that is one of the things that I think makes it very believable when she goes, and fights these different people. And in all these different scenes, when she just knocks them out like crazy and just grabs them and literally just almost tosses them, because she is really that good, and it kind of translates both from her real life but also into the screen, and that's what makes it very believable and convincing. And I'm very, very, very happy about that. Very happy about that. And I've got her pop figure, if I didn't mention that already. So go Gina Carano. Anyway, so the next thing I wanted to quickly touch on is this crazy stuff that happened, which was quite nice. I like this when they bring, these cool, crazy creatures. I believe they are ice spiders. And that was Baby Yoda eating one of the eggs, because he got denied eating the, frog eggs. So he got the other one, which provoked, the hatching. And then, of course, the bigger ones showed up, etc. You saw the scene. And then the Republic soldiers came in, just kind of, decided, let's help him out. So that was kind of nice. But cool creature design. Just wanted to say that. And let's move on to the next bit. What else? I see, this is the thing that I like, is that this is the kind of smaller. The dragon as well, by the way, the one that they killed in the first, I believe it was the first episode or the second episode. I think it was the first episode. This was, I think, the second episode. And I like it that it shows off a bit more of the world itself, and that's what I like. I like good world building. It may seem like a filler for some people, but for me, it's important. It shows just more depth of the world, and that's what I like about it, because the world, in terms of its representation, in my opinion, at least based on what I can see as a casual, I was very happy with how it was shown. So if we've seen that already, this lovely image with these two, always liked that, bit when they were trying to train together. So that was nice. And Bo-Katan. So I know there's been a lot of controversy about her armor design, which, in fact, let me actually see if I can get to her other shot right here. So we actually even see it side by side. We have the Mando's armor here, and we have the Bo-Katan's right next. First of all, I love the armor design of hers. I absolutely adore it. And I think it's brilliantly done. It's very true to Mandalorian style. The other thing that I know that is there's this person who shall not be named because I don't want to give this bitch any attention, but she's been basically trying to be relevant by criticizing the boob armor, which is absolute bollocks. And there's plenty of reasons why this armor is functional, 100% given the context. And I believe Shadiversity has actually done a very good topic in two of his videos done at a very different times, of course, both related to this situation and previously as well when it comes to boob armor. And yeah, he basically nailed the topic, so I don't want to get into details. All I'm going to say is that based on what it's designed for, and because it's made of the Beskar steel, or Beskar or Mandalorian iron, as they call it as well, it works because it can protect you from projectiles, because the projectiles are not physical ones that are meant to glance off. They are the projectiles that will always land, and they won't be able to glance off because they're mostly blasters. So yeah, it will protect you from that. It can protect you from getting cut by energy weapons as well. And it will probably still protect you even more so against physical knife or bladed sort of whatever attacks. The only thing it might potentially be, a thing, and that's always a thing. And in fact, they demonstrated it nicely in the when Boba Fett came up, when he was using this big sort of stick thing, like, I don't know, staff, which had like a bit of a heavy weight attached to the other side of it with a spike. That's basically how you show off some really good understanding of how armor works. So he was basically using it as a heavy object to strike either with crushing or blunt sort of force to smash people's heads in, and just generally attacks the armored stormtroopers, which is what we want to see. We want to see something that is actually functional and practical, and it's not difficult to do it as it demonstrated. Just because it's accurate doesn't mean it cannot be fun. And that's what I think is very good, is that it actually makes you believe that stormtroopers can at least sometimes be a little bit formidable, not just completely useless morons. So, because guess what? They wear armor, therefore you have to find a way to deal with that armor. And one of the good ways to deal with it, if you're talking melee combat, use anti-armor type of weapon. So, yeah, very happy with her armor design, Bo-Katan, and really like her character. Overall, seems to be very interesting how she was introduced. And yes, I like the actress a lot. I do believe that her haircut is a little bit shorter here than it was in her other in her other versions, basically prior to that. But I'm not bothered by that. I think it fits anyway. So for me, it's whatever. But the actress was very good and very suitable for this. And I believe she is also very well trained for this type of role as well. So again, good on that for getting a very good cast. For getting somebody who is actually, got the merit and is suitable for the role. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it should be. It's not supposed to be about ticking certain points. It's about making sure that it's suitable for the role. So I like that. One thing that I felt was particularly off for me about Bo-Katan's character writing, however, is the final part where she could not take the sword from Mando, the black saber. And this meme here, which I'm about to show you right here, pretty much represents what I think is wrong about that part of writing. So on one hand, she calls this, Mando basically being a zealot for not removing his helmet, and on the other hand, follow the ancient rules because dark saber thingamajiggy, whatever. So that kind of felt very much of a problem for me. I immediately spotted it, and I got sent this meme by one of my subscribers and friends as well. So thank you very much for that. And I believe you are on YouTube. You're known as Mr. Ajax. So thanks very much for this. And this was my other peeve with the writing of this. This just doesn't make any sense to me at all whatsoever. Complete bullcrap. So you have to decide, Disney, which one is it? Are we doing it this way or are we doing it the other way? You cannot have it both and expect it to come out, like nothing happened. So, and this is one of the things I wanted to talk about as well overall in this whole thing. I noticed that there is a bit of an issue with armor when it comes to Jedi. Look at the Jedi Master from the trailer in the Old Republic game. See how he has all this armor, right? And this is what I like about Old Republic. It actually tries to give you the designs of the Force users who also use armor, so that in case a blaster shot hits them, or if you have, a saber that hits them in that particular area, it can still deflect it. Now, the only thing we don't know, and I don't know that for sure, because as I said, I'm a casual, but whether or not in the Old Republic, the Jedi and Sith are using Beskar steel, or are they using type of steel that is different, but still capable of protecting themselves like that? Because this master, by the way, I think he dies either by being slashed into the throat by Darth Malgus, or he dies by being slashed into that gap you have in the stomach. So I can't remember exactly how he got slashed, but it was definitely one of those things. It wasn't just cutting through him altogether. And this is why I don't like it. Jedi fighting in robes to me is a big no-no, and that is what we see in the... I don't have the Luke Skywalker screenshot, unfortunately, but we know that Luke Skywalker appears, and he just goes around because he keeps the robe on because we want it, to be mysterious and all that stuff, but it's just kind of further adding a little bit more level of annoyance to me that I don't like it when they use robes because they're just stupid. You cannot use robes in combat like that. It's just stupid for me. I just cannot deal with it. Sorry, it's just my OCD gets a little bit triggered on these things. But I can understand why they used it though, so don't be mad if I'm saying that. It's just my personal thing. But overall, the scene was nice. It felt a little underwhelming with the music for me. I didn't like the music they were using. I kind of really expected something else for the final sort of entrance of Luke Skywalker. I kind of wanted them to include more of the actual original Force theme reprise for that, and they didn't really do it. And, on the contrary, for example, when Ahsoka showed up, they used the reprise of her theme music, which I really enjoy as well. I like her theme music a lot. And they used a reprise of that, which was amazing, but they didn't use that for Luke for some reason, and I don't know, for his, Force theme, whatever. And I didn't understand why, that was. Maybe I missed something. Correct me. Maybe there is a theme song there that is present that is supposed to somehow represent Luke, but I just didn't really pick it up. But I always thought that for him it would have been best if they just used the Jedi whatever Force theme, as we all know it. And then the other thing as well was that it's really nice that he points out things like talent is basically nothing without training and discipline. So yes, you have to actually work on it, which is great. I really like that. It almost felt like it was a bit of a, FU to J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson, basically. That's what I think it was a bit. I mean, it felt that way. It doesn't mean that it was the case, but it felt that way to me, which was hilarious and both very true and just really good. And I would not complain much about his CGI version. I know there are people who pointed out some problems, but I wasn't really paying attention to that. To me, it was more about the scene and what it showed. And I think it was a beautiful scene overall. It's not enough for me to completely just forgive Disney and what they done, because for me personally, not only is it because, whether or not it's going to get retconned, the sequel, quote-unquote, trilogy, but it's about the fact that they have already splashed, a teaspoon of oil into, or whatever, tar, just to give a better equivalent, into the honey jar. And no matter how much more honey you pour on top of that, it's not going to wash that away for me. So I would say that if I were to ever think, okay, so AK, what would you really be willing to, what would be the line, that they would have to cross in order to make me just forgive them? For me, it would be just completely give up your ownership of the franchise, give it to somebody who actually understands what they do in terms of Star Wars, and just basically, yeah, just stop trying to fuck around with it. That would be something that I would say would be my condition, and it's an impossible standard because Disney is probably never going to give it up. But that would be my sort of, deal. That if they give it up, if they give it to somebody competent who can just do it properly, then I might be able to kind of say, okay, that would be them redeeming themselves, just admitting that they failed, and no better way to admit it but to pass it on to somebody who actually knows what they're doing, and stop trying to get credit and revenue from it, even though you yourselves just complete shits. You don't know what you're doing with this franchise. So Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, Lucas, those people are the ones who, in my opinion, should be doing it, and whoever they decide to obviously take under their helm, who also is passionate about the franchise. It has to be somebody who's passionate about it. Excuse me. Now, one other thing I wanted to add about The Mandalorian overall is the whole thing just felt to me like it was a video game, like it was an RPG game. And maybe this is what it should have been, really, I think it, because think of it this way, Mando as a character has not really had a lot of good development, in my opinion. They should have really given more to him, because he was being, in my opinion, he was being outshone a little bit by characters like Bo-Katan and Ahsoka, and obviously Luke, because, this is the problem when you introduce these kind of more well-known iconic characters in the franchise that are more established, and, you just won't be able to give him enough to stand on his own 2 feet on par on them, considering he's the main character of the show. So it kind of felt like they kind of downgraded him, or just, aside from his relationship with Grogu, I didn't feel like there was a lot more they've done. In fact, almost next to nothing in this season anyway. The first season was kind of promising. And another thing that I have a problem with overall is that they revealed his face in the first season. And I think they should have left it all the way until the end of second season, when he was giving the baby to Luke. That's my other big beef with this. Very big beef. I think they ruined that particularly badly, because that could have really been a bigger impact. But otherwise, it just was a casual scene with nothing special. Just, yeah, okay, it was touching, but it was nowhere near as big as it could have been. And it kind of pisses me off that me, like a corn-fed simpleton peasant here, sitting, complaining and bitching and ranting, can actually point these things out right off the bat of my head, like that. And they are people who get paid millions or whatever, thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars for this shit, and they don't get it right. And that's what annoys me a lot about it. So, there is that. And the other thing, what else I wanted to say is that, yes, it could be a very nicely made game. In fact, they should probably just do it, and just allow you to go around as Mando, exploring this different world, engaging with these different characters, going on like missions together with these characters where they temporarily join your party and stuff like that. So that would be really awesome. And you could also give him, some cool weapon options aside from his own, that you could upgrade, but you could also eventually acquire some cool melee weapons. You could, for example, get that spear from Beskar, or you could even introduce other ones like the Beskar sword or something like that you could use for melee combat. So, and then you have your range, so you can actually decide how you want to play. You could either invest into the ranged combat, you can invest into like the fast-paced sort of ranged combat, so you could have like either a sniper investment, or you could have like a pistol, whatever, like gunslinger investment, and you could have like a, like, I don't know, like a blaster pistol plus a sword, whatever, like similar to how in Skyrim you have a sword in one hand and you have a spell hand as your offhand, so to speak. So you could do that, or you could just do like a full-on, two-handed melee weapon, like a spear or whatever else, glaive, anything. Just the possibilities are just endless, when in terms of what you can do with this sort of thing. So yeah, that would be great. And I think it should have really been a video game, to be honest. It felt a lot like it was an RPG where he was going around taking quests, completing them, and then getting whatever he wants at the end of the episode. So it does really feel like it should have been a video game on every level. And also, it would not have really detracted from his character much, because you kind of are mostly with this character 24/7, and you get to do things, you get to be more in control, so it kind of represents more yourself about how you play the character, So I think that would have been a very good sort of thing. So hopefully, if they ever do it, that would be very nice. So I guess there's not much more really to add. I mean, what else we have been? Well, we haven't spoken much about Moff Gideon, but I'll be honest with you, I don't really like Moff Gideon very much, and some people say, I know that some people like him, but I didn't like him as a villain. He was not very special to me. There's not a lot that they explain about him. He hasn't really done anything particularly despicable to make me loathe him. So to me, he was just casual. And yeah, maybe he's gonna come back, whatever the next thing that's gonna be, then maybe he might yet show himself off a little bit more. But yeah, I was not impressed by him. And also, to be honest, I don't like Taika Waititi. I hate this motherfucker, honestly. I don't like him. So yeah, there is that as well. Anyway, that is my general view and thoughts on The Mandalorian. So, of course, I was a little bit rambling here for 36 minutes that amounted to it. But yeah, I hope you sort of understand where I'm coming from, and let me know what you think about the show if you have already watched it. And thanks very much for watching anyway and sitting this long. And I will talk to you guys later with more content to come. Anyway, also, yes, I forgot to say that I have already posted an announcement in my discussions thread that I'm going to be doing a live stream on 25th, which is going to be a Christmas-themed live stream. We're going to be just talking, sharing stories and things like that. And also, I linked a game in Steam called the Snowballs. It's only about $1, I believe, so make sure you grab that, and we can join as well, so we can play Snowballs game and stream it live as well all together, just have a lot of fun. So if you have any questions, just let me know and I'll give you more details so we don't get too much into it here. But yeah, make sure you join in. The time of the stream is going to be specified there anyway, but if you cannot find it, then it's going to be at 8 o'clock UK time, and it will be 12 o'clock in the US and California on the West Coast. So just so you give an understanding. So 8 p.m. UK, 12, so lunchtime, midday, literally, in Los Angeles. Hope that is very easy for you guys to understand that way, and take it from there. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, guys. If you're new, make sure you subscribe and press the like button. You take care. Bye for now.